Akis.
It's your boy, Akis Smith, also known as Akis, also known as the coolest guy in sports. Back with another overrated versus underrated. This time I have Otto Porter Jr. on the menu. Was Otto Porter Jr. overrated or underrated in the 2018-2019 NBA season? Now, guys, before we get started, please go out and follow my Twitter. I'm Akis Smith. But let's get right to the video. Otto Porter Jr. split time with the Washington Wizards and the Chicago Bulls, so I'm going to give you the stats of each. In 41 games played with the Washington Wizards, he averaged 29 minutes per game, 12.6 points per game, 45.7 from the field, 36.9 for the three-point line, 5.6 rebounds, 2 assists per game, 1.6 steals, 0.5 blocks. Now, after he was traded to the Chicago Bulls, he played 15 games, 32.8 minutes per game, 17.5 points per game, 48.3 from the field, 48.8% for the three-point line, 5.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.2 steals, and 0.6 blocks. So basically, if you break that down, for his points per game, he averaged 13.9 points per game this season, 5.6 rebounds, and 2.1 assists for the season. I don't know the percentages, but looking at those numbers, people will say that he's a tweener. Sometimes he's overrated. Sometimes he can be definitely underrated. With the Washington Wizards, he was actually coming off the bench, which was very different, very awkward, and I didn't understand why he was coming off the bench, but maybe he was doing what was best for the team. But he got paid a 4-year, $106 million contract. And remember, when he signed that contract, everybody was like, wow, Otto Porter just signed a 4-year, $106 million contract. But that was the season in the 2016 offseason where everybody was getting paid a lot of money. So Otto Porter was lucky enough to be hitting free agency during that time, and he got paid the bag, and he definitely secured it. But the Washington Wizards wasn't really satisfied with his production and with his growth after they gave him that contract, so they decided to get out of that awful contract and trade him to the Chicago Bulls. And it was a blessing in disguise for Otto Porter because, like I said, he was coming off the bench making a whole bunch of money with the Washington Wizards playing a six-man role, and he got to go to a young Chicago Bulls team who's trying to fill out their roster and trying to figure out which players are going to keep. They drafted a lot of great players, young players, Wendell Carter, Lauri Markkanen. They have Zach LaVine. They have Dunn. They just drafted Kobe White out of North Carolina, who I think is going to surprise a lot of people and be one of the top guards in that draft class that's going to be successful in the future. I believe that's going to be an excellent fit next to Zach LaVine. I don't know what's going to happen to Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn has been kind of injury prone a lot of his career, so they're probably going to try to get rid of him. So Otto Porter's in a pretty good situation. He's on a young team. He's going to have the opportunities to really shine, especially if he can shoot the basketball the way he did with the Chicago Bulls. 48% from the field, and you're shooting. Of course, he's not going to shoot 48% from the three-point line, but if he could shoot, close to that 40 clip for the three-point line and also be very high 40s, maybe even 50s from the field, and we know he's a very great volume shooter. He doesn't need a lot of shots to make a lot of points. He's a very efficient player, and that's why a lot of people loved him when he was with the Washington Wizards before he got that big contract. They were talking about how he was such a above average role player. But when you get paid a 4-year, $106 million contract, teams are going to be expecting a lot more, and that's why they got rid of him with the Washington Wizards. Also, like I said, because it was a bad contract. So playing with the Chicago Bulls, a team that's not going to really, force expectations, I believe they can have a chance to compete for a playoff spot, but in reality, we don't know if they're going to be able to take that next step. But they have a lot of good young pieces, and they're in the Eastern Conference, so you really shouldn't count them out. Hopefully, they do compete for at least an 8th seed this year. Hopefully, Zach LaVine takes the next step as being the best player on the Chicago Bulls roster and becoming an all-star this season. But Otto Porter's in a good situation where he doesn't really have to create his own offense. He's got guys on his roster that's going to do that for him. He's going to have a lot of open shots, similar to when he was playing with the Washington Wizards. So I'm looking forward to Otto Porter Jr. and seeing what he's going to do with the Chicago Bulls, playing in a full season with Chicago and getting familiar with their offense and their players. And he has the opportunity. If he can average anywhere between 17 to 20 points per game and kind of be like a Chris Middleton type of player for the rest of his career, maybe make an all-star here or there, above average player, I think that's going to be a solid career for Otto Porter Jr. But if he starts to tender a little bit, fall off a little bit, and average, around 13, that 12 to 15 point range, then he's going to be nothing but a role player in the league. So it's really up to Otto Porter Jr. putting the work in. He has potential to be a fringe all-star type of talent, type of player, but we don't know. He's kind of been up and down his whole career. Sometimes he looks like he has a lot of potential. Sometimes he looks like this is as good as he's going to be in the NBA. Before it's the season, whether he's underrated or overrated, I would definitely say it was an underrated season because, like I said, he came off the bench with the Washington Wizards, which I didn't understand why Scott Brooks had him coming off the bench in the first place. And then he went to the Chicago Bulls and he showed that, you know what, he can play and he should be a starter in this league given the right opportunity in the right situation. So I would say he had an underrated season. And the only thing really overrated about him is that contract. Now, people can say he's overrated because of that contract, like I just said. And also they can say he's overrated because they don't feel like his potential is going to ever reach. He's never going to reach his potential. So when you give a guy a big contract for him to get you 15 to 17 points per game, a lot of people are going to say he's overrated. But if you just you had to look at the situation that he was in with the Washington Wizards and then only playing a few games with the Chicago Bulls, I believe that this season will be the deciding factor if Otto Porter is going to be overrated or underrated, and if he's going to reach that Chris Middleton type of potential that I talked about earlier in the video, or he's going to be just a souped up role player in the NBA. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you think Otto Porter Jr. is overrated or underrated? It's your boy Akis Smith, also known as Akis, also known as coolest guy in sports. Please join the movement, Akis Nation. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. Once again, thank you guys for all the support. It's your boy Akis Smith. I'm gone, man. Peace.